Welcome to TechCast by Raqmedia.com, your quick stop for the latest tech news, smart hacks, and cutting-edge updates. Stay informed, stay ahead. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Raqmedia TechCast, your one daily stop for the latest tech news and trends. Today we're doing a deep dive into some fascinating developments that could reshape the tech landscape as we know it.
It's always exciting to see how quickly things change in this industry. What has caught your eye this time?
Well, we're going to be focusing on Huawei's brand new operating system, HarmonyOS NEXT.
Huawei stepping away from Android completely is a bold move. Tell me what has you so intrigued?
The Friday checkout makes a really interesting point. Previous HarmonyOS versions were essentially modified Android.
Right.
This time, HarmonyOS NEXT is built on a completely different foundation, utilizing Huawei's own kernel. And get this, it doesn't even run Android apps.
That's a big gamble. It could be a brilliant strategy to differentiate themselves, or it could be a disaster in the making. They're essentially asking users to step into a completely new ecosystem.
Right. And the Friday checkout highlights the obvious challenge there, the app gap. They only have about 15,000 native HarmonyOS apps right now, which is a drop in the bucket compared to the billions on Android and iOS.
That app gap is definitely something to watch. If they can attract developers and rapidly grow their app ecosystem, users might not see the value in switching. It's particularly challenging because for many people, their smartphone is their primary way to access a whole range of services, and those services rely on apps.
So do you think this is a potential deal breaker for HarmonyOS NEXT? Or could there be a silver lining for Huawei in choosing to create a smaller, more curated app store?
It's hard to say for sure. If they play their cards right, this could be an opportunity for them to create a more streamlined, secure, and tightly controlled app experience. Imagine an app store where you don't have to wade through endless clones and low-quality apps. That could be a real differentiator, especially if they emphasize security and privacy.
I see what you mean. It's like the difference between browsing a massive department store with endless options and a carefully curated boutique with a focus on quality.
Exactly. And remember, Huawei has a massive loyal user base in China, a demographic known for embracing new technology. They might be more willing to give HarmonyOS NEXT a chance.
It's true, the Chinese market is a huge advantage for Huawei. And speaking of advantages, let's talk about the performance enhancements. Nextech was highlighting Huawei claims HarmonyOS. Next offers a 30% smoother user interface, an extra hour of battery life, and even faster file sharing than iOS.
Those are some pretty bold claims. Of course, we'll have to wait for independent testing to really see how those numbers hold up in the real world.
For sure. But even if we take those claims with a grain of salt, any significant improvement in those areas, especially battery life, would be a big win.
Absolutely. Battery life is a constant concern for smartphone users. If Huawei can genuinely deliver on that promise, it could be a major selling point.
Now, Nextech also really emphasized the AI integration in HarmonyOS. Next, could this be the secret weapon that lets them compete with the established giants?
AI integration is undoubtedly the future of operating systems. Nextech even shared a quote from Xia Hongji, the founder of 360 Group, who believes HarmonyOS NEXT is a dark horse that could redefine the smartphone experience with its AI capabilities.
A dark horse, I like that.
Yeah.
It suggests that HarmonyOS NEXT has the potential to surprise everyone. What's fascinating is that Xia Hongji believes AI will enable OS to anticipate our needs and personalize our experiences in ways we haven't even imagined yet.
Think about it. AI could analyze your usage patterns, predict your next move, and even automate tasks, essentially acting like a super intelligent personal assistant built right into the operating system.
Nextech mentioned some potential AI-powered features like predictive text that learns your writing style, personalized app suggestions based on your usage, and even automated device optimization to maximize battery life. It's like having a tiny genius living inside your phone, making it smarter and more intuitive every day.
That's the vision. And if Huawei can actually deliver on that vision, they could leapfrog the competition in terms of user experience.
Speaking of leaps and bounds, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the latest tech trends, I encourage you to visit Raqmedia.com. You'll find even more in-depth analysis news and thought-provoking discussions on all things tech. Now let's get back to HarmonyOS NEXT. We've talked a lot about the potential upsides. What about security? Is that something Huawei is addressing with this new OS?
The Friday checkout pointed out that security is a key focus for HarmonyOS NEXT. They're emphasizing data encryption, granular app permissions, and secure boot processes to protect user data. They're also tackling the issue of anonymous apps, which are often a source of security vulnerabilities.
That's encouraging, especially with the growing awareness and concerns surrounding data privacy. It sounds like Huawei is trying to position HarmonyOS NEXT as a secure alternative to the established players.
They're certainly making a strong case, and that's smart. In today's digital landscape, security and privacy are paramount concerns for users.
So to sum it up, we've got a potential Android competitor with its own unique app ecosystem. Impressive performance claims a heavy emphasis on AI integration and a commitment to enhanced security. It's clear that Huawei is going all in on HarmonyOS Next.
It's a bold move, and it'll be fascinating to see how it unfolds. Could this be the start of a new era in mobile operating systems? Only time will tell.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about some news from the Friday checkout on a leak involving Google's next-generation Tensor chip.
Ah, yes, the Google Tensor G5. The entire chip design was leaked, giving us a sneak peek at what Google has planned for their upcoming Pixel 10 series.
A complete chip design leak is pretty rare, isn't it?
It is, and this one is particularly interesting because it reveals some key features and also raises a few eyebrows.
What has you intrigued?
Well, for starters, it seems Google is switching from Samsung to TSMC for manufacturing the Tensor G5 using their cutting-edge 3-nanometer process.
TSMC is the same company that produces Apple's A-series chips, right? And their 3-nanometer process is the most advanced in the industry.
That's right. This means the Tensor G5 could potentially have significantly better power efficiency than its predecessors, which could translate into much better battery life for the Pixel 10.
That's great news for Pixel fans who are always clamoring for longer battery life.
However, there are some questions about the CPU and GPU choices Google has made. The leaked design shows a mix of older and newer CPU cores, which is an interesting decision.
Why wouldn't they go with the newest and most powerful cores across the board for their flagship phone?
It seems they might be prioritizing power efficiency over raw performance. The GPU is also causing some discussion. It's a custom design from Imagination Technologies, but it's not their top-of-the-line model.
So while the Tensor G5 might be a battery life champion, it might not be the performance powerhouse some were expecting. We'll have to see how it performs in real-world usage and how it stacks up against the competition.
It'll be interesting to see how those choices impact the Pixel 10's overall performance.
Now, I'd like to take a moment to remind our listeners about Raqmedia.com. It's the perfect place to stay up to date on all the latest tech trends and get in-depth analysis on everything from smartphones to AI.
Absolutely. Raqmedia is a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to delve deeper into the world of technology.
Now, moving on, the Friday checkout also covered Qualcomm's new flagship chip, the Snapdragon 8 Elite, and it sounds like they've really upped their game this time.
They have. The Snapdragon 8 Elite introduces some exciting new features. For the first time, Qualcomm has introduced their own custom-designed CPU cores called Orion. These cores are based on technology from their Nuvia acquisition.
Custom CPU cores? That's a big deal. What's the advantage of that?
It gives Qualcomm greater control over the design and optimization of their chips. They can tailor these cores to their specific needs and potentially achieve some impressive gains in both performance and efficiency.
And how do those Orion cores stack up in terms of performance?
Early benchmarks suggest they're incredibly powerful. Qualcomm claims performance improvements of over 40% across the board, including CPU, GPU, and AI processing.
That's a massive leap. Sounds like Qualcomm is serious about reclaiming their spot at the top.
They're making a statement, that's for sure, and they're not stopping there. Qualcomm is also emphasizing software support and longevity with the Snapdragon 8 Elite. They're promising 8 years of software updates and support for 8 versions of Android.
That's almost unheard of in the Android world. It's closer to what we see from Apple with their iPhones.
It is a significant change. Qualcomm is trying to change the perception of Android devices as quickly becoming outdated. They're saying devices powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite will be relevant and supported for years to come.
That's a major win for consumers who are tired of their phones becoming obsolete after just a couple of years.
Exactly. It also puts pressure on other Android chip makers like MediaTek to step up their game when it comes to software support.
So it sounds like Qualcomm is really firing on all cylinders with the Snapdragon 8 Elite, new CPU cores, big performance gains, and unprecedented software support.
It's a bold statement for sure. But just when Qualcomm was celebrating their new chip, they were hit with a major legal battle that could have serious implications for the company's future.
Oh no. What happened?
ARM, the company that designs the underlying architecture for most mobile chips, including Qualcomm's, is attempting to revoke Qualcomm's chip design license.
Wow, but Qualcomm has been using ARM's designs for years. Why is this an issue now?
It's a complex situation, but essentially ARM believes Qualcomm isn't paying the appropriate licensing fees for their use of ARM's technology. This stems from Qualcomm's acquisition of a company called Nuvia, which was developing its own custom CPU cores based on ARM's architecture.
So the conflict arises from the use of Nuvia's technology.
Exactly. ARM argues that Qualcomm's use of Nuvia's technology requires a different type of license, one that would cost Qualcomm significantly more.
It sounds like a battle over licensing fees and who has the right to use what technology. And the stakes are incredibly high for both companies.
Qualcomm is ARM's biggest customer, so ARM risks losing substantial revenue if they push too hard. But on the other hand, ARM is determined to protect their intellectual property and ensure they're fairly compensated.
It's a classic David and Goliath situation. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
The case is going to court, but most analysts believe they'll eventually reach a settlement. Hopefully they can find a solution that works for both companies and avoids disrupting the entire smartphone industry.
I hope so too. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, from the rise of HarmonyOS, next to the legal battle brewing between ARM and Qualcomm.
It's a reminder that the tech world is constantly evolving, full of innovation, competition, and unexpected twists and turns. It seems like every week we hear about another legacy system getting a long overdue update. It's amazing how some organizations cling to outdated technology.
I know, right? It's fascinating in a what were they thinking kind of way.
Well, this week's example comes from the German Navy. They've been relying on 8-inch floppy disks for their missile defense systems.
8-inch floppy disks. I didn't even know those existed. I thought floppies were those small square things from way back when.
Yeah, these are like the ancient ancestors of those. And they've been using them for something as critical as missile defense. It's almost unbelievable, isn't it?
It's a little unnerving when you think about it. Floppy disks are notoriously unreliable. What if a critical system fails because of a corrupted disk?
It's definitely a reminder that even in highly advanced fields, there are often pockets of, shall we say, vintage tech still lurking around. Hopefully they'll be modernizing those systems soon. Speaking of modernization, Apple has been hinting at some exciting Mac announcements.
Ooh, new Macs. I'm always up for hearing about new Apple products. What can we expect?
Well, they've been pretty secretive, but rumors are swirling about MacBook Pros with the long-awaited M4 chip.
The M4 chip. That's a big deal, isn't it? Apple's own silicon has been crushing it in terms of performance and efficiency.
Absolutely. The M-series chips have completely revitalized the Mac lineup. They've delivered incredible performance gains, longer battery life, and even allowed for some really innovative design changes.
So we're thinking the M4 chip is going to supercharge those MacBook Pros even further. What kind of improvements are we expecting?
We could see significant boosts in processing power, even better graphics performance, and maybe even some new AI-powered features.
AI seems to be finding its way into every aspect of technology these days. I can't wait to see what Apple does with it on their Macs. Any word on when we might hear about these new machines?
The rumor mill suggests that Apple is planning a whole week of Mac-related announcements starting on Monday.
Well, that's not too far off. We'll be keeping our eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, let's move on to a lighter story. The Friday Checkout was talking about an NFL player who got caught using an illegal stream to watch his own team play.
I heard about that. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? A professional athlete resorting to an illegal stream. You'd think he could afford a proper subscription.
Right, but apparently he was caught because the URL for the illegal stream was visible in a social media post. You got to be more careful than that.
It does bring up a larger point, though. Accessing legal sports streams can be a real challenge. The Friday Checkout even called it a logistical puzzle with no easy solutions.
It's frustrating. You'd think in the age of streaming, it would be easier to legally access the content you want.
You'd think so, but between regional blackouts, exclusive streaming rights deals, and multiple subscription fees, it can be a real maze to navigate.
It would be great if things were simpler for sports fans. So we've covered everything from ancient floppy disks to cutting-edge AI, and even a bit of sports drama.
The tech world never disappoints in terms of variety and entertainment.
Speaking of entertainment, if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of technology, you should definitely check out Raqmedia's own video streaming platform.
A fantastic platform for anyone who wants to go deeper into a wide range of topics. It's packed with thoughtful content from some of the best educational creators out there.
We're talking ad-free viewing, exclusive content, behind-the-scenes footage, and even high-budget Nebula originals that you won't find anywhere else.
And it's all curated to ensure high-quality, thought-provoking content.
Exactly. And for those who aren't keen on subscriptions, we even offer a lifetime membership option.
So there's really an option for everyone. Stay and start exploring.
Now back to the news. This week we saw Samsung unveil a special edition of their foldable phone, the Galaxy Z Fold.
It seems like foldable phones are finally starting to gain some real traction. What's special about this new edition?
Well, they made it thinner and lighter, which is always a plus for a foldable device. It also has a larger inner display and a less narrow outer display, making it more practical for everyday use.
Those sound like some welcome improvements. Any other notable upgrades?
They've also boosted the camera to a whopping 200 megapixels.
200 megapixels, that's incredible. Though we'll have to see how much of a difference that actually makes in real-world photography.
For sure. Sadly, though, this special edition is currently only available in Korea and China.
That's a shame. Hopefully it'll make its way to other markets soon. In other news, Books has announced the successor to their popular Palma 2 e-reader. It's still smartphone-sized, but it now runs Android 13 finally.
No more ancient Android versions on e-readers. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What else is new with this model?
It has a faster chip and a fingerprint reader for added security, all for a very reasonable price of $280.
That sounds like a great option for anyone who wants a portable e-reader with modern features. And speaking of pushing the boundaries of design, Oppo has announced their Find X8 series, and it comes with some really cool innovations.
Oppo is always pushing the envelope with their smartphone designs. What have they come up with this time?
They've introduced Oppo Mag, their version of magnetic wireless charging, similar to Apple's MagSafe.
Interesting. So they're jumping on the magnetic charging bandwagon.
They are, and they even have fast chargers with built-in fans to keep things cool.
Chargers with fans? That's a new one, but probably necessary given the speeds they're claiming with these magnetic chargers.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But the really impressive innovation is in the camera system. Some models have 2 periscope camera lenses, and one of them features a triple prism design that takes up less space.
So they've actually managed to shrink the camera bump. That's going against the trend these days.
It is. It's great to see a company focusing on making things smaller and more streamlined.
It's a testament to their engineering skills for sure. They're constantly looking for ways to innovate and improve the smartphone experience.
It's inspiring to see that kind of dedication to pushing boundaries. And speaking of pushing boundaries, let's talk about Honor's new HarmonyOS 9.
Honor is really making a name for themselves in the tech world.
What makes their new operating system so special?
Well, HarmonyOS 9 has some really interesting features, especially in China, where it comes with an AI deepfake detector.
An AI deepfake detector. That sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It does, doesn't it? But it's a real tool that analyzes videos and alerts you if it detects any signs of manipulation.
That's incredible. With all the misinformation circulating online, a tool like that could be really valuable.
Absolutely. It could help people be more discerning about the content they consume online. And there's another interesting feature. Their AI assistant can now perform complex tasks like ordering products online.
So you can literally tell your AI assistant, I want to buy some tea, and it'll handle the entire purchase for you.
That's the idea. It's a glimpse into a future where AI seamlessly manages more and more of our daily tasks.
It's both exciting and a little bit mind-boggling to think about. Now let's shift gears and talk about some interesting briefs and news snippets from the world of tech.
Sounds good. What caught your attention?
Well, there's a report about TSMC, the chip manufacturing giant cutting off a client after discovering its chips were being sent to Huawei.
Ah, yes. This is related to the ongoing U.S. trade restrictions on Huawei. It seems one of TSMC's clients might have been trying to circumvent those restrictions by supplying chips to Huawei through a back channel.
That's a risky move considering the potential consequences.
It is. It highlights the complexity and delicate balance of the global tech supply chain.
Absolutely. What else is happening?
There's a story about telecom companies, home security companies, and internet advertisers suing the FTC to stop their click-to-unsubscribe law.
Really? Why would they want to make it harder for people to unsubscribe from their services?
Well, their argument is that the law is burdensome and costly to implement. But let's be honest, they're probably more concerned about losing customers.
It's frustrating when companies prioritize their profits over the convenience and privacy of their customers.
It highlights the ongoing need for strong consumer protection laws in the digital age.
Okay, let's end on a lighter note. There's a fun story about San Francisco finally moving away from floppy disks.
I saw that. It's amazing they were still using 5.25-inch floppy disks for some of their systems. It's mind-boggling in this day and age.
It really shows how some organizations hold on to outdated technology.
Thankfully, San Francisco is finally modernizing. It's a small victory for progress.
I agree. Well, it seems we've reached the end of our tech journey for today. We've explored everything from the potential of HarmonyOS, next to the latest chip developments, legal battles, and even the demise of the floppy disk in San Francisco.
It's been a whirlwind tour of the ever-evolving tech landscape.
If you're feeling overwhelmed by all this information, don't worry. That's why we're here at Raqmedia. Our goal is to break down these complex topics and make them understandable and engaging for everyone.
We're passionate about technology, and we want to share that passion with you.
We encourage you to visit Raqmedia.com for more in-depth analysis news and insightful commentary on all things tech. It's your one-stop shop for staying informed and engaged with the world of technology.
It's packed with exclusive content from some of the most fascinating creators on the internet.
We're constantly adding new videos and expanding our library, so there's always something new to discover.
That's all for today's Raqmedia TechCast. Thank you for joining us on this exciting exploration of the tech world.
We hope you enjoyed the show.
Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify for more tech news and trends, and a special shout out to our amazing scriptwriter Ezedian Yahawi for crafting such an insightful and engaging episode.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.